Keir Starmer brought the heat at PMQs today, unleashing a scathing attack on Kemi Badenoch for what he called a one-nation experiment in open borders. Accusing Badenoch of presiding over record-high immigration numbers, Starmer delivered one of his most fiery performances yet. And folks, this one's not to be missed. Badenoch looked rattled, the Commons was in uproar, and the fallout has already begun. Let's dive into the moment that has all of Westminster talking.
Speaker, last week the Prime Minister didn't seem to want to talk about appointing fraudsters to his cabinet. In fact, he seemed to want to talk about immigration. So let's talk about immigration. He has relaunched yet again. Many new targets, 6 milestones, 5 missions, but why was cutting immigration not a priority?
Speaker, I'm glad she now wants to talk about immigration. Last week she said she didn't, and for good reason, because the previous government presided over record high levels of immigration. The figures just a few weeks ago, nearly 1 million on net migration. That is unprecedented. A one-nation experiment in open borders under the last government. And she was the champion. She stood up and praised the then Tory Home Secretary for listening to her on removing caps on migration visas. So she was applauding it. Now she's furious about what she was campaigning for. We will drive it down. We will drive down lawful migration. We'll drive down illegal migration.
Mr. Speaker, he talks about open borders. He was the one campaigning for free movement. I was in this House asking for a lift on skilled migration. He was there supporting all of the people who should not have been in this country. He wanted us to relax immigration. But as he's so keen to talk about the past, let's look at his record. 4 years ago, the Prime Minister signed a letter demanding that foreign criminals be allowed to stay in Britain.
Starmer dramatically accusing Badenoch of backing record-high migration numbers. Today's Prime Minister's question session was nothing short of explosive. Sir Keir Starmer came prepared, targeting Kemi Badenoch's immigration policies with pinpoint precision. Last week, she didn't even want to talk about immigration, Starmer said, his voice cutting through the noise. And no wonder, because this government has presided over nearly 1 million in net migration. That's unprecedented. The Labour leader didn't stop there, accusing Badenoch of hypocrisy. He reminded the Commons how she had publicly supported Tory Home Secretaries who scrapped visa caps, only to now rail against the outcomes of those policies. She applauded these changes, Starmer thundered, pointing directly at Badenoch. And now she's furious about what she herself campaigned for. Badenoch, visibly unamused, rose to counter. If he wants to talk about immigration, let's talk about his plans, she snapped back, accusing Labour of offering no concrete solutions. 6 missions, 5 milestones, and not a single word on cutting migration. Labour is all talk, no action. While Badenoch tried to regain control, it was clear that Starmer's accusations had struck a nerve. The Commons erupted into jeers and cheers, with Labour MPs rallying behind their leader and the Tories scrambling to deflect the attack. The timing of this heated exchange couldn't have been worse for the government. Just weeks ago, it was revealed that net migration to the UK had reached a staggering 728,000, with an additional 34,000 undocumented migrants crossing the English Channel this year alone. These numbers have reignited debates about the UK's immigration policies, with both legal and illegal channels under scrutiny. Tragically, 2024 has also been the deadliest year on record for channel crossings, with at least 70 lives lost. Public anger is mounting, and today's PMQS session captured the frustration felt across the nation. In an effort to address the crisis, the UK and Germany recently signed a landmark agreement to share intelligence and disrupt smuggling networks. German Ambassador Miguel Berger highlighted trafficking routes from Belarus through Poland to Germany as key contributors to channel crossings. While this pact represents progress, critics argue that it's too little, too late to tackle the scale of the problem. The political fallout from today's PMQs didn't stop with immigration. Reform UK's Deputy Leader Richard Tice weighed in with a scathing critique of Kemi Badenoch's priorities, accusing her of neglecting the inheritance tax crisis facing farmers. "This is the second week in a row she's completely missed the point," Tice said during a GB News interview. There are over 500 tractors in Westminster right now, protesting Labour's farming tax raid, and what does Badenoch do? She lets Starmer dominate on immigration, a topic where the Tories are weakest. The protests Tice referred to have gained significant attention. Hundreds of farmers, frustrated with Labour's proposed inheritance tax changes, have descended on Parliament in a show of defiance. Dubbed the RIP British Farming demonstration, it saw tractors lining Whitehall as farmers called for a reversal of the tax reforms they say will destroy generational farming. One young farmer, speaking from his family's tractor, described the dire situation. "This tax is ruining my future. It's going to make it impossible for me to take over the farm. We've been stabbed in the back too many times, and we've had enough." Despite the outcry, the government has defended its agricultural policies. Environment Secretary Steve Reed pointed to a £343 million injection into the rural economy as evidence of their commitment to farmers. However, for many in the farming community, these measures feel like too little, too late. While Badenoch faced backlash for her focus on immigration over farming, another looming crisis threatens to overshadow even these heated debates: Britain's pension system. Experts have sounded the alarm over what they describe as a looming pensions time bomb, with over 80% of UK households failing to save enough for a comfortable retirement. Investment platform Tillit has attempted to address the issue by introducing auto-escalation for pension contributions, a system that gradually increases savings over time. However, critics argue that the government has failed to implement meaningful reforms. Despite earlier discussions led by Chancellor Rachel Reeves, talks of raising minimum contribution rates have stalled, leaving millions vulnerable. Felicia Hjortman, CEO of Tillit, didn't hold back in her criticism of the government's inaction. Current pension contributions fall far short of what's needed, and people's futures are at risk, she warned. This issue has been on the table for over a decade, but we're still waiting for real solutions. As the UK grapples with these multiple crises, today's PMQ session served as a stark reminder of the deep divisions in Westminster. Starmer's fiery attack on Badenoch dominated the headlines, but the broader issues of immigration, farming and pensions remain unresolved. With a general election looming, the stakes couldn't be higher. Both Starmer and Badenoch are vying to define the political narrative, but today's clash revealed just how contentious and complex the road ahead will be. If you thought today's PMQs was explosive, just wait. This is only the beginning of what's shaping up to be a political firestorm. Make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. Did Starmer land a knockout blow, or did Badenoch hold her ground? And what do you think about the crises unfolding across the UK? Stay tuned for more updates as the drama continues.